キラリ完全セットのパッケージ、午前中のうさばらし、簡単に見つけたはずが、開いた指には点々点。キラリ完全セットのパッケージ、
The content you are about to watch is not intended for children. Viewer discretion advised. Here we are, regretters, the last day of B Week. And yes, I am already throwing up inside my mouth with the thought of it. It has been a long week, everybody. A very long week. Next week, there may be some bonus content revolving around B Week Plus, as I like to say. Today, we're wrapping things up, though, with a story entitled Love Stings by Shigiri Kyo. Barry and Vanessa have a routine. He always comes home from work to find his honey ready for the taking. But this time, he wants to spice things up in the bedroom. How far is he willing to go before things get sticky? Let's find out on this final episode of B-Week! I'm sure my neighbors love me yelling in my closet all day long today. Let's get started. Vanessa loved her usual routine of stripping down and lying naked on the soft cushions of her bed. Her new husband, Barry, insisted that she buy a queen-sized bed. "Anything for my queen," he murmured. Vanessa blushed and began to prepare herself for his arrival. He was a pollen jock, so she knew he was coming home from a long day's work. Vanessa licks her lips as she recalled the muscles that he had earned from his hard labor. It's been a year since Barry's lawsuit, and her little honeybee wasn't so little anymore. "He's actually way bigger than I expected," she thought with a giggle. Who knew? Vanessa spread her legs apart. She slipped her fingers into her crotch and began to moan loudly. Oh yes, right there, she thought as she pictured her husband buzzing inside her. She loved the dangerous feeling of his round, fuzzy body and his sexy, pulsating wings vibrating from within her. He couldn't use his stinger without dying, but he and Vanessa had come up with a compromise. She stroked the edge of his stinger with her pointer finger whenever they slept together. It was a taboo turn-on, but they both loved to take dangerous risks. Vanessa pulled her fingers out and orgasmed at the thought. She closed her eyes and let the white, sticky substance flow. She closed her legs and bit her lip as her inner thighs rubbed against her raw pussy. She laid her arms on a pillow and looked at the door longingly. Just then, Barry flew in through the door. She made sure to keep it ajar so that he could easily slip in. "Honey, I'm home!" he called out. Vanessa beamed as her husband took off his tiny hat. I don't know why that's so funny. Barry's wearing a tiny hat. Anyway, sorry. He was in a black business suit with a striped tie. It was way better than his dusty old turtleneck sweater. And hotter, too, she noted with a grin. "Welcome back, Bear," she drawled out. Barry grinned and flew towards her. He admired her naked figure before he turned around and beat his wings against her perky nipples. "Did you miss me?" he asked in a husky tone. Vanessa began to pant quietly. "You know I did. What took you so long?" she asked. She eyed him curiously. "Oh, you know, it's springtime and all. Those daisies don't pollinate themselves," he laughed. "Did you bring any with you this time?" She had gotten him in the habit of rubbing around in the pollen. She loved the sensation that she got from the thick, golden powder. "I can't pollinate you without it, now can I?" he teased. "Now, beehive and spread your legs," he instructed her. Vanessa giggled and followed his command. She knew that he meant to say behave, but she thought that unintentional puns were absolutely adorable. Barry flew over to her clit and buried his face in it. Vanessa moaned as he rubbed his pollen-covered body all over it. He took off his clothes and let his fuzzy figure stroke her beautiful red anatomy. His wife's back arched as each fine hair hit her. It felt like her clit was on fire. Barry kissed the area and grinned. His wife was just as experimental as he was, and he loved every minute of it. "Honey bunches of oats! I have something that'll cheer you up a little," he told her. He meant to say honey and cheer you up, but he just had to slip a couple bee puns in there. "Did you, Barry? Did you really have to do that, Barry? God damn it, Barry!" "What is it?" she breathed. "I want to be inside you," he whispered. "All of me." "But Barry, that's..." You don't want me to?" he asked. His sapphire blue eyes stared into her green ones. Vanessa bit her lip.
You might die. It's too dangerous, Berrykins. I don't want you to get hurt.
If I die, then I'll always be inside you. Right here. He poked the area surrounding her vaginal opening. Vanessa nodded.
If you're sure.
She gave him permission to enter her, and he flew within the hole. Vanessa gasped at his startling entrance. A worker bee was inside of her. She started to have her doubts before Barry flew up into her G-spot. He slammed his whole body against it and she screamed. Cum began to build up inside of her and it came out. Barry considered swimming in it. Barry considered swimming in it, but he knew that it would damage his wings. He needed to fly to get the job done. Barry's wings pulsated as he flew over her vaginal walls. He rapidly moved from one area to another, making sure that Vanessa felt a sensation unlike any other. He continued to fly up until he reached her uterus. He knew what he had to do. The bee stung her uterus, instantly killing the child that Vanessa had unknowingly shared with her ex-boyfriend Ken. He killed himself along with it, and his corpse hung inside of her uterus. The content you are about to watch is not intended for children. Viewer discretion advised. Welcome back, regretters, to another episode of Regretful Reads. I was hoping this day wouldn't come, but it has. Today we're taking a look at Lightning McQueen and Thomas the Tank Engine, Part 2. Thank you for voting on the poll. I regret making it. Let's get started. Lightning McQueen and Thomas the Tank Engine by Dripping Insanity. Chapter 1. Green Means Go. Thomas the Tank Engine was working a late-night shift at the local 24/7 sex shop. He slumped over the counter and rested his head on the cash register, which was covered in sultry pictures of cars. I'm so bored. I'm going to rust at this rate. At least there are only 20 minutes left of my shift. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a sports car with a rad ass lingering in aisle 69. Thomas decided to offer this mysterious beau some assistance, both out of obligation and curiosity. Anything I can help you with? Thomas asked timidly. The car whipped his head around and instantly, Thomas felt his engine flutter and throb with lust. The handsome customer in front of him was none other than Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen was an intimidating car. He had smoldering good looks, power, wealth, and prestige. Thomas tugged at his skimpy maid outfit, suddenly embarrassed. He couldn't seem to peel his eyes away from McQueen's sculpted lips. Well, aren't you a dainty tank engine? McQueen trailed off, his eyes descending gently to Thomas's décolletage. I actually do need help finding a mahogany arm spreader, a gas mask, and a spanking horse. I'm new to this area, so I haven't had the privilege of getting myself familiar with the treasures of this shop has in store. He laughed and shot him a smirk, his blue eyes twinkling. They're just over here. As Thomas navigated McQueen through the aisle of BDSM equipment, he could feel his thong riding up his crotch, making him even more flustered. This is our finest arm spreader, Thomas explained, gesturing with his wheels. Are the belts leather? How much weight can they support? He was taken aback by McQueen's assiduity. Of course, the belts are true leather. It can support the weight of any transportation vehicle, so it's very versatile. So I suppose this baby could support your weight as well, McQueen said. Thomas was stunned. Lightning McQueen was flirting with him? He continued, "Don't be shy. With a body like that, I could give you the world." He winked and revved up his engine. Smoke billowed from Thomas's smokestack, and he could feel the heat rising in his engine. He nodded coyly and proceeded to the checkout with McQueen's equipment in tow. McQueen paid for his items and thanked him. "I'll see you around." He glanced at his name tag. "Thomas, here's my card." Thomas graciously accepted and watched as McQueen rolled out the door. Thomas knew McQueen was a dangerous car, but the allure was strong. Later that night, Thomas visited the address printed on the car. The garage had a sleek black exterior, with floor-length windows to let in intimate light. He knocked on the door, and it lifted, cascading McQueen in the silky light. The moonlight captured his gleaming, fiery paint job. His decal sleeve complemented his mysterious, tinted windows. Thomas wondered what secrets they hid. "You came," said McQueen, his soft baritone voice sweeping Thomas off his feet. "Or should I say, I'll make you come." He ardently seized Thomas by the pilot and shifted into reverse, drawing him into the deeply lit garage. He still had not found the chance to speak. Glancing around, he noticed the extensive collection of sex memorabilia. McQueen owned everything from dildos to intricate bondage ropes and collars. "You should know, vanilla relationships aren't my type. I like my love hot and tight, like flamin' hot Cheetos." "Why?" "I understand." McQueen bit his lip salaciously. "Thomas, as your dominant, you shall obey my every word. You are a slave to me, to torture and fuck until my oil bubbles. Only speak when you're spoken to. Can we agree that the safe word is mercy?" "Mercy? What happened to Toyota?" Thomas nodded, glancing down sheepishly. He was ready to embrace McQueen's tasteful kinks and his role as the submissive partner. His musk alone was the most potent aphrodisiac Thomas had ever encountered. "Do you trust me?" McQueen asked seductively, his eyes dancing playfully. Letting out a warm breath of air, Thomas surrendered his control, simultaneously liberating himself. "Yes, anything for you." Thomas watched him hesitantly as he allowed McQueen to fasten himself to the arm spreader, suspended from the wall. McQueen rubbed the blindfold across his bumper teasingly before tying it around Thomas's eyes. The sensory deprivation heightened his other senses, and he felt more receptive to the touch of the soft feather encircling his wheels and drifting across his axles. He trembled ever so slightly, arching against his restraints. "You've been a dirty whore, Thomas," he growled. An unusual energy surged through Thomas's engine. McQueen outlined his figure with a riding crop before smacking Thomas. The way he blurs the lines between pleasure and pain makes them one and the same, Thomas thought to himself. He continued whipping Thomas several more times, alternating between the feather and the riding crop, and with a slight uptick in force with each new cycle. McQueen was exploring Thomas's limits, familiarizing himself with the working parts of the demure tank engine. Thomas let out a soft moan as McQueen rubbed him first on the buffers, then on the chassis. He knew what he was doing. Those tires had a superior tread that was ideal for massaging anyone into submission. "Harder, please," Thomas whispered. He observed McQueen's broad figure flex throughout the blindfold. "I need you to beg." "Please," Thomas said, tears welling in his eyes. Make love to me. I don't care how much it hurts, I beg you. Without warning, McQueen thrust his steel parts into Thomas's delicate workings. His engine roared, and exhaust clouded the room like a fine, sexy mist. His pheromones undeniably turned Thomas on like a light bulb, and Thomas felt a pulse in his boiler growing more heated with every skilled maneuver McQueen made. He thought his wheels were going to fall apart because his bolts were rattling. "Is this what you wanted, you filthy cunt? This is what it feels like to be my bitch," he groaned, puffing hard. McQueen plunged deeper into him, revving his engine and accelerating. He let out a deep groan of pleasure. They were both on the fast track to climax. McQueen gave it all that he had left to close that gap. Oh, ka-chow! He yelled, crossing the finish line. A rod of lightning buzzed through Thomas, and every gear in his body clenched. His sharp whistle blew harder than it ever had, like a tea kettle whose water was about to boil over, and a wave of relief washed over him. McQueen quickly and reluctantly undid the restraints, and the two of them collapsed next to each other. They were panting hard, exhausted, and beads of sweat raced down the contours of their skin. "What?" McQueen leaned in to kiss Thomas intimately. They both exchanged tongue and saliva for a few minutes, their pulsating hearts eventually slowing down to a relaxed beat. Thomas broke the silence. "That was amazing," he grinned, stroking McQueen's hood gently. "It was my pleasure," McQueen said. "We should do this again. This is just the beginning. Oh, the things I could do to you." Chapter 2. Yee-haw! Thomas faced a rude awakening the next day when he woke up at the station. He realized that he had left his lacy, crotchless panties at McQueen's garage the night before. Steam blew from his funnel, and he blushed a deep rose. "You look like a horny flamingo on steroids, Thomas. What were you up to last night?" asked his best friend, Percy, with a devilish smirk. "Oh, my chassis is so sore," he uttered, still groggy. "I was with a kinky sports car." "Really? Get some!" Percy teased, thoroughly amused. Thomas rolled his eyes and smiled. "I don't know what was better, the sex or the pillow talk after." With that remark, he parted ways with his friend and chugged on to another monotonous day at work. At the end of his shift at the sex shop, he zoomed over to McQueen's garage to retrieve his hot pink, crotchless Victoria's Secret panties. Upon arriving, McQueen was flexing his tires, oblivious to Thomas's presence. He finally looked up. Fresh sweat was glistening on his hood and his pert trunk. "Hey, beautiful. You must be looking for these," he said, dangling Thomas's panties. "You know, you look better with them off." McQueen began fingering the crotchless panties. "You like that, don't you? You like it when I fondle your panties like that?" He inserted his tongue into the slit of the panties. Thomas couldn't take any of his mind games any longer. He just wanted McQueen deep inside him in a way that made his boiler churn with insatiable thirst. Lust plagued his gears, making his body weak. "Oh, take me now! Enslave me with your phallic ways!" McQueen swiped his windshield wipers suggestively and gestured his wheels towards the glitter-clad spanking horse of pain. Thomas gingerly straddled the horse, while McQueen tightened the restraints around his wheels. McQueen snatched a cowboy hat from the wall, adorned it, then equipped himself with a sturdy whip. Without hesitation, he cracked it and slapped Thomas's rear. "Oh, Daddy, hit me harder!" McQueen revved his engine hard. Between stifled moans and gasps for air, Thomas endured lashings that seared his ass and genitalias like a crispy strip of KFC. "You're my bitch now," he remarked, panting. After playfully nibbling Thomas's chassis, he squirted lubricant and massaged him tenderly. "Hold still," McQueen demanded as he pressed his bumper against Thomas's rear. Using gentle thrusts at first, McQueen gained momentum until he had escalated beyond what most cars were capable of. He was ramming into Thomas so hard that the spanking horse shook violently beneath him. "You're so tight, Thomas. Yeah! I'm gonna fuck you until your coupling rods fall off," he groaned, accelerating his speed despite how overheated his engine had become. Exhaust blew from behind his fender. "Yee-haw, you little cunt! I'm the king of the Wild West, oh yeah!" he exclaimed. Thomas felt like a yo-yo jerking back and forth against McQueen's extraordinarily impressive, ineffable length. He felt as though he was being ripped apart from the inside out by the sexual energy that was consuming him. His whistle blew loudly in release. "Ugh, baby! Ka-chow! Ka-chow!" At last, he erupted, oiling all over Thomas, who eagerly caught it in his mouth. McQueen's eyes crossed as he let out a deep moan. God damn it. Okay. He swished his tongue around in Thomas's mouth, the fluids sloshing around and drenching them both. McQueen's bulge retreated as the two French kissed passionately, their sealed, full-bodied lips creating a vacuum that only drew them closer. That was... "Wow," Thomas finished, grinning. He glanced at his partner, a sex god, feeling so incapacitated and powerless. There was no one else he'd be willing to risk everything for. McQueen was ecstasy, a tangible fantasy, and Thomas was hooked. One taste, and he could never go back. Sex would never be the same. Chapter 3. Behind the Scenes. Lights flashing, music blaring, drunks tumbling to the floor, cars stripping. A collection all too familiar to those who frequent clubs. But Thomas was not one of those people. Riddled with nerves, he bobbed his straw up and down in his Capri Sun pouch. McQueen had asked him to rendezvous there 15 minutes ago, and he still hadn't shown up. Maybe he doesn't want to be seen in public with me, Thomas said to himself. But sure enough, his dubious worries were dismissed as McQueen showed up, as dazzling as ever. He had a few ladies on either side of him who showered him with affection. Keeping his jealousy to himself, Thomas approached McQueen and invited him to the bar. "Thank you for the escort, ladies," he laughed, prompting the bright cars to giggle and swoon. They left to find their own table, so McQueen joined Thomas at the bar. "I'll have a tequila," he told the bartender, who started preparing his drink. They sat in silence for several minutes, the vibrant club music pounding in their ears. Who are you so late? My juice pouch is lukewarm," Thomas complained, pouting. McQueen stared forward fixedly and blinked. "Traffic was pretty rough. You know how it is." "Actually, I don't. You're the fastest race car around. Traffic could never faze you." Thomas stopped, realizing he was ignoring him. "What is wrong with you? Could you at least look at me?" McQueen gripped his tequila shot and quickly imbibed it. Then, he dragged Thomas to the back room, which was primarily dark. Only some of the erratic lights trickled through the breaks in the beaded curtain. He immediately pinned Thomas to the wall and engaged his lips vehemently. They kissed each other, McQueen gently biting Thomas's bottom lip as he migrated down south, his engine purring excitedly. Oh, McQueen?" Thomas uttered, his breath heavy from the steamy atmosphere. He gently nudged McQueen away. "Wait, what is it?" McQueen asked, trying to conceal his disappointment.
Out there. Why did you ignore me? Are you ashamed of me? Are you afraid of what people will think?
He whispered nervously. No, of course not, babe. It's just that I'm hesitant about going public. Not because of you, but because of what it would mean for us. Once we define our relationship, it means I could lose you. Oh, Daddy, my provocative vehicular eye candy, my saucy sexual stud, I'd never dream of leaving you, Thomas assured, overcome with emotion. Your motor is the only thing that could ever turn me on. Is that so? McQueen teased, swiftly pulling down Thomas's Dolce & Gabbana G-string. Well, in that case, let's celebrate with some overdue fornication. McQueen abruptly hoisted Thomas against the wall and began planting kissed from Thomas's neck to his navel, his teeth nicking Thomas's skin. Thomas expressed a moan, savoring the pain in the conjunction with the throbbing of his genitalia. Oh, whoa! McQueen proceeded to plunge his member into Thomas, filling his carnal void, revving his engine. McQueen clasped Thomas with his tires and thrust quickly in smooth succession, causing Thomas to vibrate. Thomas clenched his ass cheeks in an effort to suppress an earth-shattering exhaustion. Oh yes, bitch, McQueen said through laborious breaths. I'm going to make you come like no other train in Tidmouth Sheds has ever come before. Yes, I beg you to fuck me harder. Yes! Oh. Thomas could feel the brink imprinting against his body as McQueen rushed his length in rhythmically. McQueen growled loudly in response to the blossoming titillation. Almost there, babe. I could feel it building inside me. Ka-chow! Ka-chow! Yeah. He oiled all over Thomas's front, the fluid glistening. He quivered violently as the orgasm possessed his body, and the earth crashed down around him. Thomas let out a high-pitched whistle and a voluptuous cloud of steam as he crossed the finish line. McQueen gradually lowered Thomas's body to the ground, but his mind remained elevated in the clouds. Hey, Thomas, McQueen asked affectionately, brushing his tire across Thomas's face. Yeah, Lightning? Let's go show the world who we are. Chapter 4. Boys Meet World. Proudly standing at each other's side, McQueen and Thomas emerged from the shadows of the back room, their field of vision inundated with flashing cameras, and the incessant click of the shutters overpowered the music playing on the stereo. Black paparazzi cars swarmed the couple from every possible angle. Being the crowd pleaser he was, McQueen flashed a wide grin for the cameras, resulting in several enthusiastic cheers. After you, Thomas, he gestured towards the seats he had chosen before. On their way, his eyes shamelessly drifted to Thomas's thick ass. They resumed their places and gazed into the map of each other's eyes while sipping their recently topped-off drinks. All eyes were fixated on them, both eager and curious to observe the next development. Thomas pinched his lips between his teeth, a nervous habit of his. He wasn't accustomed to being in the spotlight and was unsure of how to behave. So he looked to his dominant counterpart of direction. He mouthed, Lightning, what should I do? They're going to figure it out sooner or later. So let them, babe. We're ready, he mouthed back with an air of confidence and charm. Then he slammed a tire on the counter and leaned in, his alcohol-laced breath making Thomas's supple lips tingle with excitement. Thomas arched his body into McQueen's firm chest, and he responded by plunging his tongue down Thomas's throat. The paparazzi went wild, the screams and white bursts of light only adding to the chaos and sensation. But with McQueen embracing him in his arms, Thomas felt as though he was the only train in the room. Lost in the passionate kiss, The energy of the room seemed to pale in comparison. He found himself in between. Now, their secret was out, but he knew everything was going to be okay. After they finished, breathless, they made a dash for the exit, quickly shaking off the crowds. Celebration sex was a mutual must to conclude the night, and neither of them was willing to deny that drive. Upon backing into McQueen's garage and activating the switch to shut the doors, McQueen pounced on Thomas and forcefully pried his lips open with his tongue, locking into a kiss. They consumed each other, robbing each other's lips and gasps in a heated tug-of-war. "Huh? Ha? Babe," he panted as McQueen traveled south, his teeth grazing Thomas, who couldn't care less about the conglomerate of hickeys he was going to wake up with tomorrow. With every sharp bite came a contradiction, a soft kiss, fleeting like the flutter of a butterfly's wings. He could sense McQueen's erect bulge around his chassis. McQueen reached his opening and paused for a moment, extracting a silk tie from under his hood, then hastily tying it around Thomas's neck. "I want to see where the Lord split you, dirty slut," he huffed, making Thomas whimper with anticipation, his workings throbbing heavily. "Yes, please," Thomas stuttered. McQueen hooked onto his scant panties and tore them off so slowly that it was almost torture. With one tire gripping the tie taut, and the others pinning Thomas to the concrete floor, he penetrated him with all his might. Revving his engine loudly, he aggressively thrust his impressive length. Drawing the necktie closer, he began to asphyxiate Thomas. He felt dizzy and lightheaded, as though his temples were stuffed with cotton. McQueen's strong figure began to bleed into the lazy yellow light emanating from above. "Ugh, Daddy, harder, harder, harder!" God damn it. He begged, feeling faint. His nether regions quivered and secreted a viscous liquid. He endured the restraint as McQueen rushed inside him with consistent, repetitive strokes. "God, Thomas, you're so thick and wet," he said, cupping Thomas's ass cheeks. He built up more speed as he pounded into Thomas's bits. "Eureka!" The tingles in his abdomen signaled Thomas that he was about to climax. Steam rushed out of his smokestack as he tightened around his partner, who, in return, growled and grinded harder. "Ugh, you're so tight. I think I'm gonna, ka-chow! Ka-chow!" He cried, spraying oil all over Thomas as he collapsed beside him. Thomas giggled as he swallowed some of the warm oil. Oh, God. With McQueen, temptation always ended in triumph. The way their bodies intermingled through the sweat, the pain, and the pleasure was the most conflicting dynamic in the world. So innocent and pure, yet so dirty and raw. But the balance is what kept them in motion. The balance between the battle and paradise. Nothing could ever drive them apart. Neither the paparazzi, nor the nature of their indulgence, nor the taboo of a relationship between a car and a train. McQueen leaned in close and whispered in Thomas's ear, "I love you." The end. Wow, what a story. One thing I can take away from this is my neighbors probably think that ka-chow is somehow related to me now. Good. I only yelled it, 8 times? Anyway, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support the channel, you can at patreon.com/regretfulreads. You get extra benefits over there, just like if you become a YouTube member, which you can do as well. Of course, any monetary value gets put into contests or keeping me alive, for as long as that's going to be. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Take care. The content you are about to watch is not intended for children. Viewer discretion advised. Welcome back, Regretters, to another episode of Regretful Reads. Today, we're talking about Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph and Fix-It Felix. So, that's what we're doing. Let's get started. This story is entitled Moving to New Neighborhood by Redneck Girl 123. Felix POV. I grabbed my hammer and locked the doors. Goodbye, old house. I got in my white van and drove off to the new neighborhood I would be living in. I got out of my van and told the screaming little children in the trunk to shut up. Then I thought maybe I could keep them in my new basement. I took them inside in the basement. I heard a knock on the front door. I opened the front door. It was this huge, attractive man. I really wanted to suck his dick. Oh, God. He said, "Hi, I'm Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph." I was drooling. He's so hot. I said, "I'm Fix-It. Fix-It Felix. But call me Felix." I blushed. He then started to speak again. "I'm next door if you need anything, Felix." And then he winked. My dick enlarged massively. What was I feeling? Chapter 2. Asking Ralph for help. I was struggling to move all my boxes in. There was a lot of valuable things in there, mostly whips and handcuffs. Oh, and some Bibles. Amen. I needed help, though. So I went to go knock on Ralph's door. He opened it right away. "Hi, Ralph. I need help." It was so hard to talk with my dick was hard. He said okay and followed me. He helped me move all the boxes in. I said thanks. When I was leading him out the door, I tripped on one of my whips and landed right next to his big fat cock. I wanted to suck it. "Oh, sorry," I said. "That's okay," he said and winked. It was so wet, cum started dripping on the floor. I hope he didn't notice. I was so wet, cum started dripping on the floor. I hope he didn't notice. He got on his knees and licked it off the floor. I was even more wet. He got up and left. How could he do this to me? I wanted him to wreck my asshole. Chapter 3. Dressing Room. Since we live in a gated community, because we're white and privileged, we have a neighborhood gym. I went into the gym and Ralph was there. He looked at me. He was changing. I got undressed as well, and I saw him staring. I blushed. "Hey, Felix," he said while winking. I swear on my life I got hard. Hey, Ralph." I blushed again. I felt something in my underwear. Ralph saw me look down, and he went on his knees and grabbed my dick. I would suck it, but we're in public. Wink. He's such a tease. I got fully undressed and put on my gym clothes. He smacked my ass like a drum and left. I was so wet. Chapter 4. Waiting. I think I was in love with Ralph. He has the big, huge dick. I've never seen it out before, but I've only seen the outline through his tight pants. I wait to see him walk past my house every day, hoping he knocks on my door. I fell asleep and dreamt of him sticking it in my ass, and I woke up in an actual pool on my bed. Why does he make me like this? I was just thinking about him when I heard a knock on my door. I slowly went down the stairs and opened it. It was Ralph. "Hi, Felix. You left your hammer at the gym." He handed me my hammer. He was about to walk away when I said, "Ralph, will you, hit me with the hammer?" I'm BDSM. He nodded and hit me, and I was bleeding. I was so turned on. "One more time." So he started beating me with the hammer. I was hella wet at this point. He said, "That's enough for today." Wink, and left. I could barely move. Chapter 5. Ralph's cock. Ralph's cock is all I thought about now. I never even left my house because I was always hard from the thought of him. I just wanted him to suck me and then I suck him right after. I imagined his dick was bigger than an actual tree trunk. I wanted to show how much my hole could take. I went to sleep that night, thinking of Ralph's big tree cock. I never fucked Ralph, only in my dreams. I was desperate. I even tried going on Grindr. But no one was as good as Ralph. I wanted his dick in my mouth, ass, and ears. Basically, all my holes. I don't know what to do anymore. Chapter 6. Ralph has a new lover. I was in my room, shaking my fat ass to Good Form by Nicki Minaj when I saw something I didn't want to see. It was Ralph, and he was getting into another man's car. I closed my curtains a little bit so he wouldn't see me looking. Right there, I collapsed on my floor. What did Ralph see in this new guy? What does he have that I don't? I hated everything. I want this new guy dead. I'll kill him if I have to. Maybe all three of us can have a threesome first, though. IDK. Where are they going? What are they going to do? I'm so mad and sad at the same time. How could I let this happen? Ralph's cock is mine, and mine only. I went down the stairs to eat a cum and ham sandwich. What? Yummy. And for some reason, I just couldn't finish it. Was I depressed? Does Ralph really have this impact on me? I fell onto the floor and just started sobbing. Ralph, I love you. Please stick your dick in all my holes. I whispered. Oh, maybe Queen Nikki will grant my wish. Chapter 7. What did I do wrong? I saw Ralph and his new man pull up into his driveway. My heart dropped when I saw them together. I opened my window to hear their conversation, but I couldn't hear much. I decided to wait till dark. 2 a.m. It's now 2 a.m. I snuck into Ralph's yard and looked into his bedroom window. They were humping each other. I wanted to shoot the new guy in the fucking head right there. But I controlled myself, and I got a boner as well. Why is Ralph so fucking sexy? Why? A couple hours later, I saw Ralph fell asleep, so I decided to sneak in. I did so successfully and kidnapped the new guy. I hit him in the back with my sex whip, and he passed out, leaving me to carry him into my sex dungeon. I tied him up, 50 Shades of Grey style, and started rubbing his ugly small dick so he could wake up. Who are you? He said. Don't worry about it. Who are you and why are you humping Ralph? He looked shocked, like if he didn't know I was stalking both of them. Ralph is my cousin. My face turned pale. Ralph likes incest? I got an instant boner. That is so sexy. No, god damn it. Not sexy, Felix. Not sexy. Ralph came running into my dungeon half naked, meaning he only had a towel wrapped around his waist. My boner got even bigger. Ralph, I can explain. Don't. I have no words. How could you do this without inviting me, Felix? What? He wants this? I wanted to confess my love for him, but what if he doesn't feel the same way if he just wants to smash the fuck out of my small butthole? I don't know what to do right now. Ralph, please join our threesome. He took off his towel. His big dick hit the floor. It must have grown overnight. That shit was huge. He took off my pants so his cousin started rubbing both of us. Yay, incest! Who knew this night could go so right? But then suddenly, something bad happened. Uh-oh. Chapter 8. Worries. I looked up and saw Ralph crying. Why was he crying? Ralph? I said. He looked at me and left. I grabbed my clothes and went home. I showered and cried. Thinking of Ralph being upset made me so sad. What went wrong? How could I make him feel better? I got out my pathetic shower, got dressed, and went downstairs to eat something. I was going to make it up to Ralph. I went to Dollar Tree and bought him a bunch of stuff. Mostly snacks, drinks, and of course, some condoms. And they even had some butt plugs. I paid for everything and left. I knocked on Ralph's door. He opened it. "Hey, Ralph, I bought you some things." He looked down at me. "Come in, Felix." I entered his house. It smelled blueberries cum, my favorite scent. We sat on the couch. He looked at me and picked me up and put me on his lap. "Are you okay, Ralph? I noticed you're acting real..." He cut me off by sticking his tongue in my mouth. What is happening? I just went along with it. After a couple of minutes of making out with the sexiest man alive, he pulled away. "Felix, I want you to know why I was so upset. I really have feelings for you, but my family is homophobic." I was in shock. He has feelings for me? Me? What does this mean for us? "Ralph, we can keep it a secret," I said. "No, Felix. I can't risk it." "But you fucked your cousin, Ralph." He looked at me like he just got caught lying about everything he told me about his homophobic family. "Ralph, don't you trust me?" He just kept looking at me. Is he lying? Does he just need an excuse not to be with me? I got so upset, I left. Chapter 9. Confusion. It's been 3 days since me and Ralph have seen each other. It's been really hard, but I don't understand why he just doesn't want me to be with him. Is his big dick worth this much? Maybe I should just date his cousin. I saw Ralph walking to his car. He looked sad. Whatever. I decided to break into his house. I went through the back window and made my way to his room. I found his family pictures. "They're all inbreds?" I yelled. What is going on in Ralph's family? Is this why he doesn't want to be with me? Because we aren't related? I heard the front door open, and not only did I hear Ralph's voice, but I heard his whole family. I hid under his bed. They mad their way to Ralph's room, and they all started humping each other. Oh no. Family orgy. God. I saw Ralph's feet from where I was laying, and it turned me on. I wanted to join them, but I couldn't since I'm not a blood relative. After 5 hours, they all left, so I snuck out and walked to Ralph's front door and knocked. "Felix, what are you doing here?" "Ralph, we need each other. Stop fucking your family members and fuck me instead." He looked shocked. "Felix, you don't understand." "Fine, Ralph, be that way. Let your redneck inbred family control you. I'm done. I'm moving on." I left, trying not to show my boner since I got hard from confrontation. I didn't even want to look back. I walked into my house and had an anger outburst and started destroying everything while jerking off. Why must Ralph make me feel so happy and angry at the same time? Suddenly, I felt something in my stomach. Like a kick. Am I pregnant? No, that can't be possible. I'm a man. It started kicking more and more, so I went to the doctor. They gave me an ultrasound. The results were almost impossible and unrealistic. This can't be. I'm pregnant. Chapter 10. Who's the father? I woke up in a hospital bed, barely remembering what happened. A nurse came into my hospital room.
"Would you like to know the gender?"
Oh no, I suddenly remembered why I'm here. "No thanks," I said to the nurse. I finally left the hospital, still confused on how I was pregnant. Who's the dad? I walked into my house and laid on my bed, even though it was covered in dried up cum stains. Oh God. I was so focused on this mistake of a child inside me, I completely forgot about what happened with Ralph. I really do miss his cock. I went to take a DNA test because I needed to find out how this happened. I waited in the waiting room for 20 minutes. "Felix," the doctor called. I stood up and followed him into the room. He took a cotton swab and swabbed my penis hole, and I instantly got hard. It's not how it works. He looked at me with a sparkle in his eye, so I jumped on top of him, and we started humping each other. After that, he gave me the results. "Ralph is the father." What? How could this be? Turns out Ralph is so sexy that even looking at his dick can get you pregnant. I have to tell him, but I don't know how he'll react. What do I do? The end. To be continued, I guess. This one was actually updated recently on March 21st. So, I'll need to reach out to Redneck Girl 123 to see if they're going to continue the story. That was gross, not gonna lie. Completely regret that 100%. Remember, I do not read these ahead of time. These are handed to me by a higher power. If you'd like to support the channel, you can on patreon.com/regretfulreads, or you can become a YouTube member. They both get similar perks, a separate video every week, and you get the opportunity to submit your own fan fictions to me to read. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I probably will. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Incredible arrives from work, taking pictures of Megamind for the Daily Bugle. His wife, Helen, would strip off her garments and waited on the bed hours before her lover would come home. This became a habit of theirs until the present. At first, it's a joyous experience for Bob. Who wouldn't, though? No man would ever deny or elude such surprise from their mate, especially after a hard day's work. But this day in particular is different. Bob sensed something is missing. The sex they had wasn't the same as those in the past. His mind is completely shrouded with discontent. He normally get excited whenever they fuck. He wondered why they died down. During dinner, Mr. Incredible is still in heavy stupor. He mindlessly ate his wife's below-average cooking, as his children, Dash and Violet Parr, making out with burning passion in front of him. Oh no! Even the obscene scene doesn't bother him.
Something is definitely bothering you, Bob.
Entered Helen with baby Jack on her arms. I said I'm fine, mumbled Mr. Incredible, clearly pissed. Just as he saw the baby that is cradled in Helen's arms, Bob finally got his answer. Helen's pussy is overstretched due to giving birth to 3 of his kids, which he is also responsible for having a poor pullout game. That is why he felt dissatisfied. His massive cock can't even be in contact with his wife's vaginal walls because of how much of a cave Helen's genital has become. The truth has bummed out Mr. Incredible, resulting in him leaving the house for a walk. As he walked, the sky suddenly turned dark and started to drizzle. Without any option, Mr. Incredible darted towards the only place he could take shelter, the restaurant, La Ratatouille. Oh no. While inside, Mr. Incredible figured he'll just eat to pass the time. He ordered baked beans, steak, and soup. The latter meals were very good, but as he took a spoon of beans, a burst of disgusting tangy flavor invaded his taste buds, making him puke out the food. He realized what he almost just ate.